to have occurred. And that feedback is given to the employees, good and bad, so that the results of the survey are communicated effectively. And then I think it becomes one of a cycle, that it becomes repetitive. And as you repeat it, because you've implemented the findings previously, people will have more confidence, and therefore they fill it out more comprehensively. And the firm sees the benefit, because they're then starting to get the measure of the benefit of doing it. I think the problem with surveys is that people do it once only. Here's the survey, here's the result, nothing happens, everyone's cynical.
So we've got to grow it as part of the culture,
Yes.
and as you highlighted in the trust element, we have to build the trust as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll see if there is one question from the back, and then we'll come to the front.
My question is a real scenario. My name is Nabil Rashidi from MetFab. We have an employee that operates a rather complicated CAD-operated machine, and he's one of two people that know how to operate this particular device. And he has kind of created a monopoly around the knowledge of how to operate it the best, to the extent that last week he changed the language on the machine from English to Japanese, because he's not Japanese himself. He knows exactly what buttons to press, and he's that good that he doesn't even need to read the screen. So we're trying to tell him that we don't value employees because they're really great at their job. What we need him to do is also train the people that is under him, so that we don't just have one or two guys knowing how to operate this machine. We have a continuous, or we have continuity and other people knowing. So this was brought up at our management meeting. I thought maybe it would be a question that you might help answer.
So what do you do with something who feels insecure and become too engaged?
I sound like I should charge you afterwards. We should go outside and...
I know, this is a very good opportunity to get consulting for free.
I think you've touched on some of the aspects that I would be looking for. There's two parts to this. First part is management's allowed this to occur. And management is equally at fault because it comes back to environment. He's behaving in a way that the environment's allowed him to behave. And they haven't changed the environment, so this process has been allowed to occur. So management has to bear 50% of this responsibility, allowing it to get to the point that it's got to. I think from the employee point of view, there are a number of measures that I'd be looking at, one of which is performance. I would be building into his performance appraisal, and I assume you have these sorts of processes, that I would change the way in which I measure certain factors in his performance appraisal to things like goals and objectives that rely on him training so many people to a certain standard over a period of time, and perhaps even tie this things like bonuses. I don't know whether you pay bonuses as a result, so that a percentage of his appraisal is actually determined by the way in which he shares his knowledge and trains his subordinates. And if it doesn't happen, he gets an adverse report, doesn't get a bonus, and so on. So you start to affect him in personal ways, which brings the point home. I think other than that, if he's got to the point where he's changing the codes simply to control the machine, then you've got a very serious behavioural problem, which isn't going to be changed overnight. If it comes back to that environment I spoke about before, I think you have to sit down and work out what the changes to the environment need to be, what different processes, what different systems, what different procedures you could look at putting in place that alter his experience, that cause him to do something differently. But I would certainly be looking at measures like performance appraisal, bonuses, to reinforce that message as well. Other than that, I guess there are probably a half a dozen other things we could talk about, but that would be my immediate reaction.
Is this one case where the employee's aspiration is too low, where he's so much focused in his day-to-day operation, and he doesn't look at the organization, mission, and vision, and trying to build and grow within the organization?
I think that could be. I think it's probably one of two things. You also get employees who, as individuals, the only way they can feel self-worth And what you've got to do is to look at ways of creating other measures of self-worth, other measures, other benefits that enables him to feel part of the organisation and not just solely focused on that CAD responsibility that he has. I think if you can do that, then you change his vision, you lift his perspective, you make him more part of the work environment rather than just his own little narrow responsibility.
Yeah, we'll take one question from here.
Yeah, my name is Ali Al-Kharshat from التصنيع company. In your opinion, what are the programs that you think can measure the employee engagement?
I think I'm going to give you a cop-out answer. I think this varies from firm to firm, because I think what each firm needs to measure is that which is relevant to their own particular work requirement and where that firm is on the scale of employee engagement. I don't advocate buying programs off the shelf that are advertised as, you know, buy this employee engagement program, it's the best in the world. I think a lot of those programs actually don't deliver what they promise. I think they're too generic to be specifically relevant to your own company. I would probably do something in simple Excel format that use simple measures that I had decided as part of the management team. And what you decide in your company might be different from 10 others. What are the key things we want to measure to show our employees are engaged? Comes back to the answer we were talking about over here. The half a dozen key points that tell me we're on target. What are our turnover rates? What are our dismissal rates? What are our contract renewal rates? How is our pay and remuneration moving? You know, how many people are doing courses? The things that to you are important measures. And I would have simple ways of capturing this. Human Resource Department puts its records together, put it on an Excel spreadsheet, do a graph and measure it that way. And I think what you decide could be quite different to what 3 other companies would decide. Still get the same result, but it's what is specifically relevant to you. Does that make sense?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. We'll take one last question from the ladies' side. Yeah.
I'm very happy to really be here and attend to this particular forum. One thing that is intriguing me is how to create and recreate the working environment. It takes 2 to tango. As you said, employee is responsible about his or her own development and really attitude, but also the management has something to do with it. Google, if we go to its atmosphere, some of the employees are even sleeping and continuing to be there because of the loving experience that they are having at work. My name is Najat Yassin Bouhleka. I am a researcher in the field of computer and education and children, and I am the Women in Engineering chairperson in the East Province. One thing that really interests me is you know, how we can motivate the employee positively. I've studied a lot about employee engagement. But one thing I do agree with you, it takes a lot of commitment from the management to really have better and inviting working environment. I am a Saudi citizen. And one of my colleagues, I'm talking in behalf of one of my colleagues here because she wanted me to translate.
If you could just be very direct in your question, because
I will. Yeah. You didn't give us the chance before. I mean, 5 of there and 1 here. So it is not a good ratio. So be just to start with. One thing, I'm talking on behalf of my colleague here, Mrs. Fatima Al-Mulla. She's saying that in Saudi, some companies, they tend to really prefer to hire some expatriate. And they give the expatriates more a chance to really excel than the Saudi employees. And some of the employees here, Saudis, they feel, according to her saying, they feel that